I am so excited to bring you today's episode. When Scott and I started this podcast channel, one of the things that we really wanted to do was highlight people with strong morals, good business leaders, give back to the community. They are the type of people that we all want to aspire to be like. Well, our guest today has all of that in spades. His name is Eric Fritzke, and he's been someone I have admired, watched grow over the last 15 years. He's one of the people that I absolutely wanted to highlight the second we talked about putting this together. You're going to enjoy this. Stay tuned.
This isn't just another story. This is your story. Your triumphs, your conquest, your accomplishments, the things you've overcome. These are the things that make you you. But most importantly, these are the stories of what lies ahead. It's time to get re-inspired.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. We are really excited today. We've got a good friend of mine and great business guy, entrepreneur, Eric Fritzke. It's going to be an exciting time. Before we get into it, go ahead and smash that like button and hit the subscribe button so we can bring you more great content. Eric, how you doing?
Good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we finally got you in. We've been talking about this for a long time and got you here. So how goes life?
It's been a journey lately, between last year and just kind of between market and business and some personal stuff. It's always a journey, right?
Yeah. So to give the viewers an idea, so you're a successful entrepreneur, run a really large real estate group, married, father of two beautiful girls. You're almost an empty nester. What else do I say? Strong in your faith.
Yeah.
What else should I tell people?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, married for let's see, since 01, so 22 years.
Okay.
23, I guess, in August. My girls, as you mentioned, are 17, getting ready to graduate high school and probably go to college. And then my other one's 19, sophomore in college. So yeah, well, I don't know when the empty nest thing will come, but certainly in the near future. Yeah, I just really, enjoy working with other business owners, and part of my goal in the future is to start to mentorship some other business owners, not only in business, but also to bring a faith component into that as well.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things that I've always respected about you, because a lot of people are terrified of bringing their faith into business, and you happen to just put it out there and say, hey, that's a big part of who I am and all that. And while that may scare off some clients, other people are really happy about it because it fits with them too. And
Right.
I think that says a lot for who you are as a person. So, and one of the other things I heard in there that has always been one of the reasons I wanted to get you on is you've always had a sense of wanting to give back. And that's the type of people that we love to highlight on this, where you said, hey, I want to be able to mentor, younger business owners or less experienced business owners. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think just through my journey of from where my career has evolved over time, getting into the real estate business as a single agent. Fortunately, I had my my stepdad and mentor to be able to, guide me along the way also. But in many ways, I just, had to kind of figure it out myself a little bit. Always had the goal of building some, level of team and business. And I did that a little bit early on when we were at Remax. Gordon and I had a couple of assistants and a buyer's agent at that time. And then, of course, the Great Recession hit. And then that was part of the reason we moved over to Keller, actually. But since then, just the things that I've learned over that period of time, and, being able to pass some of that knowledge and wisdom and experience on to, again, someone that's newer in the business, or a business in general. I think I can draw a lot of experience just from my commercial real estate business and working with other business owners, in a variety of different industries, as well as my connections and network too, right? If I'm not an expert or don't have information or knowledge in a certain area, I know at least 2 or 3 good people that do. So
Right. Well, and I think that's one of the things that I've always found to be great about, working with you and watching you work is that you're a leader in the community and everything comes from a leadership point of view. Everything's about giving back. And because of that, so many people in so many industries that it looks like you pull knowledge from throughout.
yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about your journey as a leader, as just, learning what it is to be a business owner, what it is to be, that's a hard gig sometimes. It's not a go to work, get paid, go home and turn it off.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think about what does servant leadership mean? And I was actually going through and looked up some definitions on the web the other day, and really what it boils down to is that as a servant leader, you are pouring into others to make them better and to help them find their purpose and be on the path and the journey to why they were created and why they were put on this planet. So that's really my goal with our team. That's how we, structured our values, our vision, and our mission. Was really about not only team members and employees, but taking the same approach with our clients as well.
So tell me a little bit more about how do you do that with clients?
I think really starting off in terms of what we call a consultation process, and just really sitting down with them, being a good listener as to what their story is, what their needs are, and really understanding where they're coming from before trying to provide a solution. So that's really the main approach that we take with our clients is asking good questions, being a good listener, and then looking for solutions after that.
So what I'm finding interesting here is at no time did you talk about money, profit, any of that. It's all been, how do we do the best by the people that we employ, by the people we consult, by our clients? So how do you reconcile that? Because a lot of people, I think when they go into business, they go in and the only purpose is money. And I think as we get older, as we get more evolved in our business, the money's important. I mean, you got to make money to stay,
Right.
but the people who are truly successful, the money isn't the piece. So tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, our philosophy, or my philosophy, is that money and profits should be a byproduct of the service that you're providing. Being in real estate, we're in a service industry, right? We're not selling widgets. So it's a little harder to kind of quantify, this is what it costs to build the widget, and then here's our kind of profit out of that. Not to say that there can't be a kind of a purpose and a vision for a company like that. But I found that it's probably even more important when you're in a service business. And when you're putting the clients first and their needs, the money and the profits are a byproduct.
Right. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. I mean, one of the things I laugh about is I know enough about your history, especially talking with your mom and dad about some of the wild, crazy things you did when you were younger. I don't expect my kids to watch this, so I can say I had a lot of those too, because I have teenage boys that I am trying to keep from doing stupid things, and they do the same type of things we did when we were younger.
Recent stories that we don't need to name, but yeah.
Exactly.
I hear you.
And with that, we're going to have some young kid, some 20-something that is listening to this, and he feels like he screwed up his life and, maybe got into some trouble, excuse me, but, wants more out of life. Talk to me a little bit about that, because like I said, you had your wild child moments. I had them, and here we are, 30 years plus later, both sitting here and, realizing that we did grow up.
Yeah. So for me specifically, I wasn't the best student in high school. You know, I did enough to graduate and get my diploma. Didn't really know what I wanted to do out of high school, so just went into the workforce. Um, Ended up working for an entrepreneur. Happened to have a business in the carpet cleaning industry, and you know, I think he saw some of the values that I had in terms of, you know, you go to work and you show up on time or early, you know, you work hard, you do what you can, you kind of go over and above, you treat people right, right, and you know, do good by the customer. And so he started to mentor me in kind of the business of what he was doing over time. And you know, as a late teen, early 20s guy, that sounds and looks pretty good, right? Like,
Mhm.
hey, I can be a business owner, you know. But you know, and that certainly was scratching the entrepreneurial itch that I, you know, didn't necessarily know that I had. But I think looking back on my history, even prior to that, you know, having a lawn mowing business and doing some other things that were entrepreneurial as well. Um, but you know, as kind of the next 4 or 5 years progressed, I realized that that wasn't the industry that I wanted to be in. As I mentioned earlier, my stepdad and mentor Gordon had started talking to me about being in the real estate industry. You know, so at 25 was really when I found a career that, you know, I knew that I wanted to spend probably the rest of my life in some form or fashion, right?
Right.
At some point, you know, I don't want to do this full time, 100% all the time, but I definitely am always going to plan on keeping my hands in it one way or another. So, I guess to answer your question and to your point, right? Like I did a lot of dumb stuff from 18, say, till 25, and even some dumb stuff after that.
We won't talk about that.
But you know, I think that kind of to your point, right? For that kid has maybe made some mistakes, and um, that kid who isn't necessarily drawn to go to college, right? Because college isn't the answer for everybody.
Right.
I think there's a place for you know, people that not just guys but girls too, right? That want to come out of high school and have some life experience and start working on building a business.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just interesting because I've watched you, what we know you, probably 15 years now,
Yeah, we
something like that.
came to Keller in '09, so I think we probably crossed paths before that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really the kind of the main point of
Uh, But I've watched you evolve as a person. I've always been completely impressed by it. And, you know, there was a piece that I'll call it the untamed piece of you still in there when I met you. And I probably even had it myself. And then I've watched you become this guy who's become a mentor to all these people and change all these people's lives over the last, you know, 15, 20 years.
Mhm.
And it's been exciting to watch because from an outsider point of view, you see something where you go, wow, okay, this is what's possible for people.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate that, by the way.
absolutely. And actually, I want to, and part of that is I wanted to lead into a bit about your faith because I know that had a big component in how that created you as a person. So,
Mhm.
talk to me a little bit about how do you integrate that so that it doesn't feel alienating to people, whether they work for you or you know you work for them because they're clients, and how does that help you in a daily basis? Because this is a hard industry. You know, the one that you're in is a rough industry. So
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think that you know, I've always, for whatever reason, had a curiosity and a desire for learning. And you know, not only in my professional career, but also my, you know, my personal life. And part of that is I've always sought out some sort of mentor. You know, as I mentioned earlier, getting in the business, I had a real estate mentor. Um, you know, even early on, and even probably for 90% of my career, I've had some sort of a coach as in the real estate industry. Um, but some of the other mentors I've had on a personal level have been what I would call a spiritual mentor. So you know, probably for At least the last 15, probably more like 20 years, I've had some form of a spiritual mentor. Right now, I'm currently part of a group of guys. There's 8 of us in the group, and we have 2 mentors, and they're just really walking us through, what it means to have more of a deeper connection, with our Creator. And I just believe that, the more that I integrate my faith into every part of my life, including business, the better off I am.
Okay. Thank you for that. One of the things you said, and I always find this interesting, is you're obviously a very successful guy. You run a big real estate group, and yet you still have a coach. And I think a lot of people think, well, you get a coach when you start. And every strong business owner that I've met always seems to have a coach. Why is that?
Because, as soon as you think you know it all, you're in trouble, right? Um, we all have blinders to some degree or another. I think the more mentors and coaches we can have in our lives for the different areas of our lives. Some people are more naturally suited towards just being able to do business or, stay physically fit and eat well, right? Where other people kind of struggle with those areas. So there's always going to be a blind spot. There's always going to be an area that you need help with. So whether it's a coach or a business consultant, I've had both, more on the consultant end for probably about the last 7, 8 years, and really a coach for, again, 90% of my career. So I think it's just, that's someone to be able to bounce some ideas off, to get some other perspective, to get wisdom on, to help hold me accountable too, right? I'm no different than anybody else. I need some accountability, just like our team members and employees need.
So let's talk about family, kids, things like that now. So, you're running a successful career. You also have family life. You have all this other stuff going on. How do you balance?
Gosh, that um I don't think there is there's no such thing as being in balance at any one time. I think you're always in a counterbalance, if that makes sense, right? Like, as soon as you kind of feel balanced over here, you're off a little bit here, right? So you're always kind of teetering back and forth to some degree. Um, Probably one of the biggest things that I've learned, really just in the last, I think I've incorporated it into my life, kind of keeping what's most important first. But margin is probably one of the big things that comes to mind. And that's really, margin in my time, margin in my finances, really anywhere that I can create margin in my life. I think that's where I find, I'm able to keep that balance in play.
And by margin, are you saying having a little bit of wiggle room excess there? Define margin for me?
Yeah. So as an example, margin in time is I'm not booking myself every hour from 9 to 5 during my work hours, right?
Mhm.
Or some people are workaholics that they'll work from 7 till 8 at night, 10, 12 hours a day. I purposely don't do that, right? I either find somebody else that can help me with the things that need to get done, or I just say no to it, right? I think it's key to be able to know the things to say no to, and the things that are important to say yes to. And really that starts with, God first, family second, and then, business and everything else kind of comes after that. So, we've all heard the big rock in the jar analogy, right?
Exactly.
You put those big rocks in first, and then the pebbles can follow, and then the sand, and then the water after that. So same type of approach.
Okay, great. Thank you. Um, what does the next 5 years look like for Eric Fritzke? What, where are you taking your life? Because I love that you're so purposeful about things.
Mhm. So, right now I'm still pretty highly involved in being a producer on the team, specifically with our commercial division. Um, I enjoy working with clients, but my intention and goal is to start to shift that time to be more on the mentorship time, like I had mentioned earlier. Not only for the team, but also for outside business owners that are looking for some help, um, and shift more of the production activities over to team members. So, uh, I did a lot of work just in terms of seeking what I feel like, my purpose was early last year. And part of that process, or really what that process boiled down to was, I feel drawn to help again, mentor younger or newer business owners, and the members on our team. And so just to, start to spend more time on uh, being purposeful about things that create that servant leadership opportunity for me, to help others, be better for themselves.
Awesome. So, I mean, you've mentioned
Mhm.
your plans on doing mentorship and things like that multiple times. Is it okay if we add your information if someone hears this and wants to talk to you? Can we add it into the description below?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, great.
I appreciate that.
So we will definitely put that in the description for you guys, just so that you know it's there. Um, dude, you always amaze me when we're together. Like, I'm just flabbergasted by the level of thought that you bring to the table.
Mm,
I mean,
I appreciate
you
that.
guys do residential, commercial, real estate, you guys do property management, and then you're mentoring people, and then, making sure there's more than enough time and balance for your family. I think one of the things I just want to talk about for a minute is, what does it look like to have a life by design? Because so many people go
Mhm,
through life like that leaf floating on the wind,
mhm,
and wherever life pushes them, they go. And I mean, you're forced to be reckoned with. You go out and you decide what you want to do and you go do it.
mhm.
So, what advice would you give to people who are watching this and saying, I want to be more like Eric?
Well, first of all, you got to take the time to do it. You got to take the time to think about what is important. Again, kind of the back to the big rock analogy, right? What are the things that are most important in my life that I want to pour my time and effort and energy into? I think about, for me, really, probably five main components of our life. We've got a business life, we've got a spiritual life, we've got family, finances, and then personal growth. Um, so when I kind of start with those things, and then I narrow it down to, um, here's how I'm going to spend my time in each area of those areas of my life. Then it kind of goes back to what I said before. Then I know what I can say no to and what I can say yes to, because then I compare it to that plan. So you got to start off with, taking some time to think about what's my plan and what are those most important things that I'm allow to be part of my time, and say no to the other things.
Okay, so one of the things that you said yes to with your time recently that I thought was great was that you and, was it Macy
Mhm,
that went to Africa
mhm.
and did a trip? Talk to me about that.
Oh, um,
So, you've talked about servant leadership, you've talked about giving back, you've talked about
mhm.
being a mentor, and you and your daughter Macy recently went to Africa on a mission trip, and just tell our viewers about that.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely strikes an emotional chord. I think for more than one reason, because, um, I got to be able to take my daughter over to a place that I had been a couple years before. Um, we went, I think it was February of 2020, so right before COVID hit. Myself and another group of actually a faith-based men's group that I've been a part of. Um, and to be able to go over there and serve a community that just doesn't have a lot, to kind of give you some context. The average wage over there, a person earns $1 a day. Yeah.
That's like a 500 a year. I mean,
Right.
wow.
Yeah. They're literally living in like concrete huts with dirt floors. Not to get too kind of long-winded, but the area in Africa specifically was Rwanda. And if you guys ever know or ever look up the history of that, they had a pretty major or intense genocide. I think it's coming up close to 30 years ago at the time, maybe 28, 29 years ago at the time we went. I think they were at their 25 years past their genocide. So literally in the numbers, I think they're still, figuring out, or the numbers are still increasing, but over 1 million people perished in, I think it was about a 60-day time frame.
Oh, wow.
So to go over there and serve in a community that, for all intents and purposes, if you think 25 years ago, what was I doing in my life? And, what if I was in their shoes going through that? And now I'm, here living in a community 25 years later. And how am I, kind of going through life like that or after that incident? And so, just to, and seeing the level of forgiveness that those people have had after all that happened, it's just crazy,
Mhm.
um, I talk to people a lot about first world problems that we have here, right? Um, those guys have a lot less, and they're thankful for what they have. So, excuse me. So then subsequently, being able to take my daughter over, and have her experience that was just, obviously touching, and time I'll remember for the rest of my life, and I'm sure she will too. So, it changes, yeah.
I don't doubt that at all. So talk to me about how you take that. Obviously, it's a very emotional thing. Obviously, it was life-changing for you.
Mhm.
How do you take that into the future and do something with it that helps more people?
Yeah, I think again, it's back to what's important. Where you invest in your time, talent, and treasure. Um, and part of my objective, not only kind of on a local basis to be able to, pour in and help others, is to continue to go back there. At the very least, the goal would be on a once a year basis, if not a couple times a year. Just to help that community. They started building a hospital early last year. Actually, they were in the middle of kind of the foundation phase when Macy and I were there. It was a year ago last summer when we were there. And so to see things like that come to fruition and see the impact of a community of the work that you can go do, not is not only helps them a lot, but I think as much, if not more, helps the individual that's going over to serve. So,
Oh, absolutely. And I think you get a connection. I mean, I've heard you talk, you have connections to people over there.
mhm.
And it just, that's what it's about at the end of the day, I
Mm.
think. So, is there anything we can put in the description as well that for people who want to either donate about that or learn about that?
Yeah, I'm sure I can get you a link. Arise Rwanda is the specific ministry that's over there doing the work.
Okay.
It's pretty tremendous. I mean, they built a high school. They're doing this hospital, like they said. They're on the ground, boots on the ground. Serving the community, from the widows that still are trying to make it from the genocide, to the little kids and the schools that they support. So pretty good stuff.
Dude, always impressed by you. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I can't say enough on what an amazing pleasure this has been for me to be able to have you in the studio and just sit down and talk with you for a while.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Hey, if you want to see more content like this, let us know. Please give us some comments and let us know what you thought of this and about this amazing human being that we had in here today. And bye for now. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. This is a business spotlight for an amazing group in the Denver metro area. The Trinity team. Eric, leader of the Trinity team. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you, bud?
Good. So you guys are growing by leaps and bounds, and I think this is amazing because the economy's not great, and everybody's saying how horrible real estate is, and you guys are sitting there going, "We need people because we're growing when everybody else is claiming that the sky is falling." What's the secret of Trinity team?
Yeah. I think that well, certainly one of the differentiators we talk about with our group, our team, is that we cover property management, which consists of residential, commercial, and owners associations, both residential and commercial. We work with business owners on the commercial real estate side, both for sales and leasing. We have a residential division, helping homeowners with selling and buying. And so when we have such a diverse team and background and knowledge base, it's common that we'll have a question on the residential side that property management can answer, or vice
Right.
versa. So that's one of the things. I would say, one of the other big pieces is the culture that we've built over the last, I would say, 7, 8 years now, since we've really been focusing on building a team. We went through a process with our business consultant. It's been, I think, about 5 years ago. And he really, made us sit down and really think through and talk about with our leadership team at that time, which I think all or most, if not all of those people are still with us today. What's our team about? What's our vision for the future? What are our core values? What's our mission? And so one of the things that is part of our core values is that we want to have fun and also work hard. And so one of the fun pieces that we do as a team is we'll do kind of after hours activities. So one thing that we've done a couple times now that comes to mind is we go to one of these local axe throwing places as a team, and just to get together, have fun, throw some axes at a board, and even create a little competition there. So stuff like that. We had a little team Thanksgiving dinner the week before Thanksgiving. So we all got together, everybody, brought a dish. I smoked a nice prime rib, which it turned out really well. And so we just all sat down and shared a meal together. And team members also brought their family. So I think we had, probably there was a few people that couldn't make it, obviously, but with team members and family, I think we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 plus people. So that was just, I think the dynamic of that culture that we've created within the team is hopefully pretty attractive. And also that we're pretty forward and outward about our faith too. And we've had some team members come on board even recently that have said that they were personally looking for a company that had a profession of faith, and so that's why they decided to come work for us.
Awesome. Yeah. And like with the great resignation that happened recently and things like that, a lot of people were leaving companies because there was either no culture or a toxic culture. And it sounds like you guys have one where, it's about camaraderie. It's about, how do we move together? How do we move the needle and all that at the exact same time?
Yep.
Now, I know you guys are growing. For those people who are watching, who are maybe, living in the area, looking for something new. Are you just looking for agents? Are you looking for non-agents? What are you looking for?
Right now, primarily agents. We've kind of set our org chart for this year and a couple years to come in terms of where we need to plug some people in. Part of it is really just based on as we kind of hit these milestones of growth through business. Like for instance, we've got a specific business development plan that we have for our residential management. We're about 200 doors now. Once we hit close to 300 doors, then we'll need to hire another property manager. And so, some of those business growths are dependent on the people that we bring on, but we're always looking for good people, that fit the culture, that believe and align with our values, vision, and mission.
Okay. And you guys also have a very strong mentoring component on your team as well for people who may not, they may not be at the level that you guys are playing at. So you guys are willing, as long as they have a strong work ethic and reliability and things like that, you would be able to train them. Is that fair?
Yeah, certainly. That's really one of our objectives and focuses is finding agents that have had probably some level of success, but they really want to take their business to the next level. But they don't want to be workaholics, right? They don't want to give up family time or somewhat of a, some life balance, call it. So we've got all the, support staff, all the tools, training in place to help that person really, take themselves and their business to the next level without it costing them a bunch more time.
Awesome. And how would people go about getting a hold of you guys if they did have an interest?
I think the best way is to reach out to us by phone call, email. Our website is trinityteamrealestateco.com. So really multiple ways to be able to do that.
Okay. And we'll put Eric's contact information on screen for you right here so you have it. And we'll go from there. And who on the team should they talk to?
Let's see. I would say for those interested on the commercial side, that would be myself or Hope Sawyer. For the residential side, Terry Thompson is our residential team division leader there. So
awesome. Eric, appreciate your time, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.